is preposterous. You have to be at war with the Russians in order for treason to kick in. It's levying war against the United States and aiding and comforting the enemy. We're not at war. So, I mean, it's so stupid for Senator Tim Kaine and others to say it's treason. It's just not. They also say it's collusion. There is no collusion statute except in antitrust. There is one statute that says you can't conspire to obstruct a government function, which would be an election, but that requires deceit and dishonesty, and taking information from a Russian lawyer isn't deceit and dishonesty. And finally, I listened this morning to this Democratic congressman say, oh, it's a clear violation of campaign election laws. Okay, which one? There isn't.
I know what they're talking about, the FEC Campaign Act. That's not criminal.
No, first of all, it's a civil penalty, but second of all, it doesn't apply here because, you generally have to donate money. And it specifically says that providing personal services is not a donation, and foreign nationals can provide personal services. They do it all the time.
On the issue of treason, nothing exposes the utter hatred, the loathing that the left has for Donald Trump than the use of this word, treason, this charged word, this conjuring up of someone knifing his nation in the back is what treason is. Treason is Benedict Arnold. Treason is selling your GIs down the tube for money or for some other power. It reveals the shamelessness of their rooting for the 45th president to fail in office. I agree with Greg's analysis. There is absolutely nothing illegal in what Donald Trump Jr. did in taking this meeting. It is not, collusion is not a crime. It is not, what is a crime is to hack. If the person who got the information, they are guilty of a crime.
But he had no idea what they were offering.
But even if even if they had given him the information or had released the information, look at all the people that used the information that WikiLeaks hacked or somebody hacked and gave to WikiLeaks.
I used it.
The New York Times, Sean Hannity, the Washington Post, everybody uses the information. That's not the crime. The crime is to hack. Or, and this is the gravest peril for Donald Trump Jr., he must tell the truth about every contact he has had. And I am sure, as he told you, he is embarrassed by this whole thing. This is the last distraction his father needed. I'm sure he wishes he could do this over again. But this absolutely must be total truth when you're speaking to a federal agent.
What about the Ukraine? What about, because there was information passed on. There was a meeting that took place in the Ukrainian embassy. It was passed on to the DNC. This really happened. The country doesn't know about that story, and it's far worse.
The media deliberately ignores it. There's no equivalency. There's no outrage because the media is in the bag for Hillary Clinton and Democrats, and it's pretty obvious. Their unabashed scorn and visceral hatred for this president shows every time they choose a story and tell a story. And also, they largely ignore the Uranium One deal, which you pointed out in your opening monologue. I mean, talk about a criminal quid pro quo. There's a plethora of evidence that she and Bill Clinton violated the law by using her office as Secretary of State to confer a benefit in exchange for money. That is a crime, and not a word has been uttered.
Geraldo, I think it's time that this is where the Democrats want to go. Hillary on the email server, Hillary on Uranium One, Comey on the Espionage Act, the Records Act, Loretta Lynch, I think the Deep State, I say, okay, bring it all on. Everybody that committed a crime, let's go after them all.
Here's the problem with that approach.
You're just about to yell at me. Go ahead.
The problem is the President of the United States now has to deal with this feeding frenzy that exists, whether it's fair or unfair. This is a runaway locomotive that he has to deal with. Everything that he ever said, anything that anyone associated with him during the campaign, during the transition, it will be gone over by his enemies with a fine-tooth comb. To ask the public or to ask the government to talk about Ukraine, to talk about uranium, they are not going to do it. This is like Watergate in the sense that everybody now is engaged. They are the president's defenders, and they are numerically fewer than his attackers now.
Yeah.
You have to stand like a rock, and you have to defend it as it comes. That's why I said about Don
The double
Jr.'s
standard is
complicated,
nauseating.
but the double standard is the reality in which we exist.
Good to see you both. Great work.